Hey everybody, it's Lynn here from A Bit of Birdsong, and I wanted to show you something that I have been working on the last couple of days. Let's get this ribbon down here. Okay, I started on the Friday Fiber Arts packs early last week, and some of you might know that I had a very busy weekend. I had company pretty much all weekend off and on. I had a great time. My granddaughter spent the night with me Saturday night. But one of the fabrics in the fun pack made me just really stop and think about these sugar skulls and where I had seen them before, what makes them popular. I became really interested in learning more about Day of the Dead. Dia de Muertos, I believe, is how it is said in Spanish. There are all kinds of fun, interactive places here. And while this is designed like I do my shadow boxes on the wall, I was trying to create an altar for my grandmother as I listened to documentaries about Day of the Dead, or Dia de Muertos. Oh, I think we have a little spider who's moved in here overnight. Oh, me too. I'll take little baby spider outside later. I was just trying to learn more about this beautiful, beautiful custom and tradition. I learned so many things that I did not know. While these petals up here are actually chrysanthemum petals, marigolds are really prominent in these altar displays that are made for people who have passed on. So I have these images of marigolds. There may be not one in there. Is there one in here? I was thinking there was one more, but maybe, oh, so there's one in here. And then I used the side of this box to put more marigolds. What I would like to do is make some sort of display with actual marigold petals, or maybe even bring some fresh marigolds to put in here. This is what I would consider the altar part of this. I've had this little heart-shaped box in my studio for a long time. I dearly love my maternal grandmother. She was so kind. She was so beautiful. That's her in the center. There's sort of a shadow on that picture. So that is my grandmother in the center. Their shoes are absolutely amazing. My grandmother is seated with her sister Eva, and that is her sister Martha. There were 13 children in the family, and 10 of them lived to adulthood. And they were all born around the time of the late 1800s into like the 19 teens, however you say that. So I just really, really enjoyed making this. It was such a time of feeling close to my grandmother, learning more about the tradition, the celebration of Day of the Dead. Okay, I laid this down because it's just easier to talk and show you things. And I took these little chrysanthemum blossoms out, and I dry any flowers that I can get my hands on. Sometimes I will buy fresh flowers if they're on sale. They're really pretty in the house, you know, just as a treat for myself and Jason to have fresh flowers. I haven't done that in a while. Or if there's some sort of celebration and everybody is given fresh flowers, if I'm given flowers as a gift, I dry them. I enjoy them in water and then take them out and hang them upside down. Some things don't dry well, but you know, you just end up with flower petals that you can use. And I have a feeling that the little spider probably came from these flowers and worked its way into this box. So let me say something right up front. I do not have any ancestry that I know of that would be Spanish or South American or Central America. I would love that. I wish I did. I am European, mostly English, German, and Scottish, and some Norse and Swedish. So I really wanted to approach this project with a lot of respect. I didn't want it to be something where I'm just appropriating a tradition, a very sacred tradition, and in using it for my own benefit. So I do not want this to be like this at all. I've really had my grandmother on my mind a lot. And when I saw this fabric and started thinking about what can I do with it, I thought, you know, I've seen these skulls before. I just started researching and thinking about Day of the Dead and reading more and listening to documentaries. I listened to several hours out here of different documentaries. I've left room to add things here. I love that these little boxes open. And by the way, the fun packs have a lot of this stuff in them. But the boxes you can just save, or you may have boxes saved from your own junk drawer or whatever. I went out thrifting and added a few more boxes to my collection because I do have thrift stores in the area that sometimes have things like this, maybe like reuse and things like that. This little charm hanging here, I have been saving this for quite a while, and that is representative of the Tree of Life. And we have the skull here. I've got a couple of different crosses. You can see the one in here. There's also a crucifix that I think I have seen more in these large altars that are created for the dead. And the celebration itself occurs, it's I think 2 days, and it begins around November 1st. A lot of people think that Day of the Dead is just a Spanish or Mexican version of Halloween, and that's just not true. Now, it is true that in many cultures, for thousands of years, this time of the year, the end of October, the beginning of November, the days are getting shorter, and people have thought that the veil between the living and the dead is very thin, and the dead can visit. So that's where these customs come from. So the Aztec and Mayan cultures really influenced and grew into Dia de Muertos. Sometimes you see Dia de los Muertos. Marigolds are included because they have a very strong, distinctive smell. The scent is supposed to help draw our ancestors back to see us during this time of the year. This is a little jar that has water in it, and water is often left, always left, as far as what I've read, at these altars because your ancestor has traveled a long way to get here and they will be thirsty. I just added this little clay pot. You can leave little mementos or things that you think your ancestor might like. There were candles always at the celebration. You light candles. Of course, I can't light a candle in this, but I did take some little birthday candles and I melted them down some to be able to put in here. My grandmother was just a beautiful person inside and out, and I felt so close to her while I was making this. I kept trying to bring back memories. What did she love? What did I remember about her? What were the times that we spent together and the things that she said to me? And I'm telling you, once you've lost a family member, oh my goodness, you wish you could go back and ask them things or just spend another day. I would love to have her one more day to spend a day with her. This hangs right inside the door where you come into the workshop so that I can leave little things. I also have my prayer, and it's like a meditation desk over in the corner of the workshop. Have a little bit more cleaning out to do in here, and I'm going to do a full workshop tour. I did want to show you this part. I have these cute little, I guess they're paper clips. I took some pliers and held it on one side and just bent this to be like an L shape. And what a great thing this turned out to be, because I was able to clip it on the top of the box and then have the cross hanging here. I have this little, just representative of a treat. It's like an ice cream cone shape that's poured in resin. Now the Tree of Life charm, that is hanging with embroidery floss. So I don't, the skulls are not meant to be scary. My grandmother would probably say, oh, good grief, why did you put skulls all around me? Well, I'm sorry, Grandma. I love you dearly. And this was to bring back memories and also to learn more about a culture and to honor you. My grandmother might like this. I don't know. Maybe when she was younger, she might have liked this. She was a very faithful, she was a woman of faith. I will say that. And she was a great influence on my life. Let's see. I'm going to put these back in here. I don't know if there's anything else that I need to tell you about this. Oh, the ribbon part. So I don't use a lot of ribbons in my art, not unless they're old and distressed. But I happen to have these beautiful ribbons on hand because I made some baby blankets for someone using, they're the little ribbon blankets. They're really tactile, and you sew little ribbon tabs. They're tab blankets. The fabric itself is really soft flannel that's been washed, and then in increments all around the blanket you have these little ribbon tabs that the baby can play with. So I had a lot of ribbon left over, and it was perfect. It's perfect because they do include a lot of ribbons in these. And in order to hang this, I just took, well, there go my flowers. I just took 2 different awls. I took my favorite, this is vintage, very sharp awl, and I love that it's sort of flat, not totally flat, but it has a little bit of an oblong shape. So I made a hole through every layer, then came back with this bigger one and enlarged the hole so that I could push the ribbon through, and then I tied the ribbon on this side and let it stream down, and I tied it on this side and let it stream down. And this is just a piece of cardboard. That's all that is. I covered it in the fabric. I poked holes in the 4 corners, just like I did on the other one, and put these brads through to be able to attach this fabric. And then I took all of my boxes that I wanted to use. And you may remember this box from being in the workshop. It's been hanging out here for years, and I keep it where I can see this picture of my grandmother. So I just put it inside this larger box. I took the lid to this box, and I chose this one because it's so bright and beautiful. And that is where I made my little altar, the little spiders in there. And that's okay. That's totally okay with me. There's some beautiful woven fabric here in the bottom, and a lot of the fabrics in here feel South American to me, like Aztec, or even just the beautiful woven Native American blankets and things. They're sort of reminiscent of that. I put it's just a beautiful piece of fabric. I kind of covered it up a little bit more than I meant to. I put that there because it reminded me of a rug. It's symbolic, really, of being a soft place for my grandmother to put her feet. So you can just add so much to these. Anyway, I laid all my boxes down and placed them where I wanted them, and I very carefully pulled out one at a time, starting with the bottom. So everything was placed. Mashing my flowers. So everything was placed, and I put everything, close together and thought, where do I want it? And then I just slid this box out very carefully, put the glue behind it, glued this to the bottom, and then slid it back in. And one by one, I went to this one and this one, and then I worked up to the next layer and the next layer. And I did put glue not only behind the boxes, but in between, so that they're very sturdy. And actually behind this box with my grandmother's photos in there is another brad going through this biggest, heaviest box, which is the altar, to secure it to the back. And that way it helps to hold up the weight of all the other boxes. Even though it's glued in place, it helps it not to slide. And you can see over here, I don't have a lot of space for anything else in this workshop. But this is where it hangs, right when I come in the door. I've always been interested in family history and my ancestors. Like even right here, I love to make pins out of clay and put charms at the bottom. I have to finish this one. And this is the sister of my paternal grandfather. So this would be one of my great aunts. But this means a lot to me. It really does. I can see it when I come in, and I think it's so important to be connected to family if you're able to. And if you're not, to have connections with people and traditions and things that bring joy to your life. And you can see here are some of the old flowers hanging here that I've dried. There's a cup of them sitting here. There are more back in the back there. And then a couple of other little things here. These bright gemstone looking stickers came from the Dollar Tree. I just wanted to add some color and some brightness And I used this piece of ribbon like a fence. It's got the old marigold seed pack image back there. Oh, it almost has a cemetery feel to me. I have more things I want to add. I want to put something over the top of this. This is it's made with hot glue. It's kind of like a wax seal that's got some flower petals in it. I want to do something similar and put it up here to cover the top of that ribbon. There's still a lot that I want to do to this, and I will do that as I have time. But for right now, I want to show you the packs. So let me show you what is in these packs. There are things in the pack that I have not used yet. I still want to do more to my altar that I created. And also, let me tell you, you do not have to use this pack to do what I did. When I first came to this project and thinking, well, I want to make something in honor of my grandmother, and also, is it Dia de Muertos? I'm not sure I'm saying that right. Day of the Dead. I just decided on doing something that would fit in here in my workshop, and that would feel sort of like an altar, and that would allow me to display things to honor my grandmother and invite her presence here without taking up a whole table, because some of these altars that are made for people during Day of the Dead are huge. So there's a little piece of paper with the skulls on it. There's a piece of this paper here, and I love this. I love that it's so crinkly and shiny, and it is sort of like a veil. You can see through this. That's symbolic. Again, there's stuff in this pack that I have not used yet in my art piece that I'm working on. There is a napkin with this skull on it. I don't know if you even noticed it, but I cut a square out of mine just to fit right inside one of the boxes so that I could see it when I opened the door. Here's some beautiful paper, and the design is all the same. They're all the same on one side, and the other side, it may vary a little bit, but it's all the same type of paper. It just might be that you got a different block. There is this image of the skull. There's some beautiful fabric in here. This is just a little piece of ribbon that you can get creative and do something with. Again, I used mine to look like a little fence where the cross is hanging, and there's a seed pack of marigolds behind it. This looks like part of a blanket. It's very textured. I used this part to hang down over one of the tops of my boxes. Velvet, to me, is just very frequently used to line keepsake boxes and things. That's a piece of velvet. Now, this is really special to me. I was drawn to this. I was out thrifting and I saw this piece of fabric, and I wouldn't normally go for this, but I bought it thinking I could use it for this project. And then I remembered I have a blanket that my grandmother made for me back in probably the late 80s, and I still have it. I take it out and I use it, not all the time because I want to keep it, but it's this pattern, and it's these colors, except it's probably more of a cream color than white. I'll try to show you that and put a little picture here so you can see it. But originally picking this up and thinking, well, I could put this in with the bright colors, and then I got this home and I thought, that looks like the blanket my grandmother made for me, so that's perfect. I tried to find fabric pieces that felt very woven and Aztec or South American, Central American, so that, you know, you may not use all these pieces. You may use every one of them. I used a piece of this to go in the bottom of a box to, again, represent like a rug or a soft place to land, so to speak. There's just a pretty design. I cut this out in mine and put it on the front of one of the boxes that opens. And that is a very patterned fabric that I feel like fits into this theme. And this looks like where somebody did some felting. And I love that bright color. You can just use little pieces of this for projects if you do slow stitching or whatever. Again, this just felt like it fit the theme. I'm not sure what this was. I found a really long piece of that, and I put that at the top of one of my boxes that you open, and this is beautiful. I just love the patterns. I think that ties in perfectly. Here, oh my goodness, I love this. Another very woven piece of fabric. And I love that color. It reminds me of that, you know, when you dye Easter eggs and there's that one color, that green that's so pretty, that's what that looks like to me. And then this is interesting. I don't think I've used my piece of this yet. Each one has a piece of this fabric, and it kind of looks like an eye. It looks like a cat's eye. The pieces look a little different. Oh, where did mine go? I think I had it pulled out, and I was looking at it. Here, I found mine. So, see how that one looks a little different? That looks to me almost like a cat sitting in front of a full moon. Anyway, this fabric just felt perfect. I have not used mine yet, once again. And you know, I was thinking too, this altar or this memory, if you want to make a memory book, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, and I understand that. And I also, again, I want to reiterate, I do not want this to feel like cultural appropriation. It's a lot of the documentaries that I watched, people were talking about that. People who own, like, people who can claim with their ancestry to really have this tradition as part of their cultural heritage. Most of them said that they like seeing people embrace this tradition and really celebrate it with respect. There's no problem with that. What the problem is where the true meaning has been lost and people start altering the tradition. They bring in things that are not necessarily part of the tradition and commercialize it. I didn't realize that there is, and I don't remember what it was called. It has something to do with death. It's something symbolic that people have started to bring into their rituals. And I think the church has cautioned members to be really careful not to bring that into it because it's not part of the celebration. I wish I could remember what they were talking about. I'm still learning, but I definitely wanted to do this with respect. And then there are pieces of ribbon. This is really pretty ribbon. I actually bought several spools of ribbon when I was at Joann's to make the baby blankets. And this is what was left. So you have all of that. And then I love this fabric as well. Oh my goodness, I think this is so beautiful. I love the color. I love that stitching or the pattern in it. It looks like it's painted on, I guess. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to know how that doesn't feel like thread though. And then we have this little piece with the bright skull. I like this. So I have one of these on the front of one of my boxes. And then just this piece of bright colored fabric. This is to represent the marigolds. And I did take a little piece of fabric with mine and cut a circle out and scrunch it up to make a flower. And I just tied what would be the stem of it with embroidery thread. And then we have this beautiful piece of fabric. Laura, I think you sent this to me. And I still have plenty. But this is so beautiful, and it reminds me of people dressing up to celebrate. So I decided to include this. And again, the butterfly fabric, I just love that it's bright, and butterflies sort of represent rebirth or new growth. This beautiful piece of fabric, I just felt like the design fit in to, again, what feels like more South American or Aztec or Central American. And then this batik, this is just so bright. And I think my grandmother would like this fabric. And then there's a couple of pieces of this soft fabric. And of course it's got the embroidered design on it. There's two pieces of this. I cut several squares from this to line the backs of the boxes that I have in my display. And then we have a large piece of this fabric with the sugar skulls. So you may want to do something totally different. Besides, this, you may want to make a journal cover and do something more in line with a tradition, or not even a tradition at all. You may want to save this and use it for Halloween. It's creativity is the point. And let's see, we have this piece of trim. I love the roses. I put 2 hearts in here. Hearts I don't think are always used in the altars, but they can be because they can represent love. I have not used mine yet. I'm going to. So there's 2 of these little tag hearts. I did put some tickets in. And again, so I haven't used mine yet. I want to. Oh, and what was I getting at? I get totally sidetracked when we were talking about pieces I haven't used yet. If you decide to do something like this, I would like to start writing down and documenting things about my grandmother, memories of my grandmother, and somehow putting them into this altar, whether they're hidden inside one of the boxes or put into one little book that I can keep, just keep there together. I think that would be something beautiful to do. The tickets, you can save this for your stash or use them. To me, this kind of represented a ticket to be present at this celebration, or a ticket for your loved one to come home, although I don't think that's part of the celebration. And again, I'm not trying to make it a part of it. I think art is doing something creative is so subjective. It becomes really personal to the creator. But again, if you're doing something that is sacred to a culture, I think you have to be careful with what you do with it and how you represent it. This is fun. I found this most gorgeous piece of fabric that is truly threadbare. Let me show you. Here's just one little part of it. And you can see it is one of those that all you have to do is look at it the wrong way and it just rips. I mean, you can be walking across the workshop and catch an edge on this and it tears. So there's not going to be any using this to make a journal or anything that's going to last. But and these strings were part of the fabric. There were certain areas where it was sewn with bits of thread, and it looks heavy like embroidery thread. But where it had pieces of that, I just left it. I just cut a piece of this fabric for each pack and laminated it. I ended up cutting mine up. Like I cut a big circle out of it to go inside the back of the box that's circular. You can keep this. This could be a dashboard in a book. It could be something that you fold to make a pocket. And I think it was Natasha at Treasure Books who recently did that with the netting. Now, I've laminated things for forever. I've had my laminator for like 20 years. So it's nothing new, but I had never thought about folding one to make a pocket or putting 2 together to make a pocket. And I was thinking yesterday, I need to go back and see. I don't remember if she sewed them together, but you can do whatever you want to with that, or just be inspired by the colors. Look at the beautiful colors. And then in here, we have, there's a vintage matchbook. And I tried to pick images that I felt like might tie in a little bit if you were doing something where you're leaving gifts for somebody, or somebody is traveling, or even to try to tie into anything that pertains to the Mexican culture or whatever. I can't find it, but my little matchbook in the kit that I pulled out has got a Mexican steakhouse on it. So, and I haven't used it yet. These little clips, these 2 file clips or index clips, they ended up being absolutely perfect to sit on the top of the cardboard and hold the ribbon in place. The long ribbons that hang down. So they're detachable. I can take those ribbons off if I want to. That was just, I love that turned out the way it did. There are a few brads that are brightly colored. You've got 1 large skull bead and then 2 smaller ones that you could do something with. We have a few of these little 1-inch chipboard tags. I haven't used mine yet, but I tell you what I want to do with them. And then each one has one of these pins. I know they're different sizes. It's just a little plastic pin. I thought what I would do, and hopefully they all fit okay. You have to be creative with these packs. Since these are like inchy size, I want to make some little pictures or cut out images of things that I know my grandmother would love and glue them on the back of here, of course, punch a hole in it so that it will fit here. and leave this in the little shadow box or altar. I haven't done mine yet. And then we have another brad that's brightly colored. We have 3 little paper tags if you want to leave a message and put that in your book or whatever. Here's 2 of the paper clips that you can fold in half. There's a little glass jar that you can put something in or put water in. I don't think I showed you the buttons. And my grandmother did like to sew and make things. Anyway, these couple of buttons, I glued mine on the side of one of my boxes just to represent crafting. Here is one of the little resin things with the little hook in it, or the eye, I guess, so that you can hang it. Now, I did not make these. I found, believe it or not, 8 of these, and I have 8 packs. I kept one for me, so there's only 7 for sale. So I hope this will stay in. I didn't make this. I don't know how good this is in here. You could glue it back in if it comes out. It doesn't feel loose. I'm just saying I didn't make it. So I found it and I thought, oh, that would be great for these packs. There's another little brightly colored button. So that is everything in the Friday Fiber Arts packs. And again, I'm sorry to be late with this. So one of my sons came over and spent the day with me on Friday. He spent the afternoon, I shouldn't say the day. We visited, we, just had a great time talking. And then Saturday, another of my sons came over and we spent several hours just talking and hanging out. And he had an activity to do with one of his children. So the girl, my granddaughter, stayed with us. So we did so many things. Jason took us to a garden center where they have a place you can walk through the woods, and they have ice cream, and you can pick strawberries, although the strawberries were not. They had been picked so much that the field was taking a break. And we went out to the airport to watch planes. Addie and I did art together. She loves to make things. We got up Sunday morning and had breakfast together. So all of this went on the back burner, as it should, because family should come first. And here I am. This is it. So these are listed in the Ko-fi shop. And thank you so much for watching. I will be back really soon. Bye for now.